Love what you do and do what you love. Passion is the key that opens the door to joy and abundance. Hi, I'm Rajat Soni, a teen life and parenting coach. I enable teenagers to gain clarity in thought and action in every sphere of their life, may it be entrepreneurship, career, academics, personal development, or in managing their emotions. Today's theme of Goal Setters with Rajat Soni is passion, and the one person who exudes that is a dear friend, a corporate leader, and the LinkedIn Spotlight winner for 2019, Sampark Sachdeva, who has 10 years of work experience in sales and marketing, spanning across Asian Paints, Ola, and Oyo. He has 50,000 plus followers on LinkedIn, 1,000 plus posts with over 10 million views. He's also doing mentoring, coaching, and training for startups and businesses on sales, marketing, and personal brand building. So here I welcome Sampark Sachdeva.
Yeah. Thank you, Rajat. It's a pleasure being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure having you here. How are you doing today?
All good, all good. I think the lockdown gives us all a period to do a lot of things, of catching up on a lot of things, learning a lot of new things, household chores especially. So yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah.
household chores for sure.
Yeah. So that's the new learning that's there. But yeah, it's a good time to be in. While I understand there's a lot of negativity around the economy, etc. as well. But I think it's always finding your peace somewhere. So yeah. So
Yeah,
it's a good place from a learning perspective. But yeah, a very uncertain time in terms of economy and revenue perspective.
that's so true.
Right.
So, what does the word passion mean to you?
Rajat, if you would ask me, I would say passion is something that if you're able to get up in the morning and still be excited about what you're doing, I think that would be passion. Because I would say 80 to 90% of us who are working and have jobs, you get up in the morning and you sure don't feel like going to office. In these days, it's more about opening the laptop and working from home. But but if you're excited about it, if it gives you a kick at the end of the day, you still feel pumped up about that. I think that in itself is passion for anyone and everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And in fact, when I work with teenagers, also, there was this particular teenager. He was really fond of soccer. He's
Right.
really fond of soccer, and he came to me when he was around in class 9th. And but his parents, they came from a completely engineering background, and they had
Hmm.
an entire industry around it, and they were really fixed on putting him through that process of engineering.
Mhm.
But then his passion, whenever he used to talk, he used to only talk about soccer, Neymar, and all these things and all. And now finally he'll be sent to Barcelona, and he'll take over his training for that. So
Awesome, awesome.
I think what you're saying is so true.
See,
And
I think a lot more parents are opening up to this whole concept. If you'd spoken about this 10, 15 years back from I would say a life earning perspective, there weren't too many opportunities. As parents also, they weren't too aware of a lot of things. You being a parenting coach, you'll understand a lot of these things. But I think with the whole advent of internet, a lot of these parallel profiles coming up, people earning from a lot of these. You talk about something like stand-up comic, you talk about something like poetry, etc. So a lot of these things are coming up in addition to something like sports as well. So I think, yeah, people are getting a lot more chances to follow their passion these days.
yeah, it's a new wave that's flowing, and that's
Right.
amazing.
Mhm.
So LinkedIn Spotlight 2019, how did that happen?
Uh, it was surely not planned. It was not even in the wildest dreams. Uh, I started working on LinkedIn was close to around 4.5 years back, where I used to write a lot on LinkedIn. So I'll tell you where it started. I used to have a blog back in college days, and I just realized I hadn't opened it for quite some years, and I didn't realize that I had 200 plus posts there. So but
Wow.
again with some time it died down. I did not keep it functioning. Somewhere around 2012ish, it went dead. And then again when LinkedIn happened, I started writing on it. Now why did I start writing on it? Two, that was because why everyone starts writing on it was to get a job. So that was one bottom line. But
Yeah.
again, and I started writing a lot on positivity, motivation, and I started writing it for myself rather than for anybody else. So I'll tell you what happens now. If I'm writing about be happy, etc., the first 15-20 minutes of the thinking process, researching process, I'm forced to think positive myself.
Mm.
So that whole process was actually for myself to get pumped up or kicked in or be positive about the things, and that is where I started enjoying it. And then that thing started rolling. People started appreciating those likes, those comments, those appreciation started coming in, and then it became a hobby. And then I would say it became a very, very regular feature, never with the intention of winning an award. The followers started increasing and stuff like that, and it was all going normal. Then one fine day I just get a mail from LinkedIn directly that you're a part of the LinkedIn spotlight. And I think that was that big turnaround where I felt now maybe, because I'll tell you, usse pehle a lot of validation that used to come. I was personally never sure, was it because of the designation that I held at the back end, or was it because the content was this good? Because a lot of people used to come back and say, sorry, this is very good, very good. And a lot of them had this in mind that if I appreciate this guy might help me get a job. So I was never sure. I was never sure. So, but I would say the day LinkedIn validated it, then I felt, okay, now maybe I am doing the right thing. Maybe people are genuinely liking what I am writing about. And I think after that, then it's been 6-7 months, but yes, it's been a big turnaround story in the mindset as well. Yeah.
Wow. It's good. Yeah, the LinkedIn star you are now. Good.
No, it's just I'm something still trying to figure out myself. Yeah.
So, Sampark, you're currently in a leadership position at a corporate, and
Mhm.
you're also pursuing your passion of LinkedIn. How do you balance between the both?
See, I would say that overlap never needs to happen. And if a lot of people who have been following me would realize that I never talk about my job as such on LinkedIn. I write a lot about sales, marketing, the field that I come from, on how do you improve yourself in sales, how do you build your pipelines up, how do you do marketing, etc. Besides my positivity and happiness kind of content that I write. But I'm very clear that I don't overlap it. So a lot of my action on LinkedIn is either before office or after office, while going to office or while coming back to office. And in short, those are also the times where LinkedIn is most active. So if you post, the trends say that those times are the most active in terms of your content also going up. So when I travel, and I stay in Bombay and I travel, I used to travel in the metro a lot before this whole social distancing came in. So
Yeah.
my team knows that uh, if I'm traveling in the metro is where I generally am replying to all my comments, all my messages, writing a lot of posts. And I'll tell you, a lot of my posts are basically observational. So I write a lot about uh, people I have seen, conversations I've overheard, conversations I've had with people, etc. And what's the learning out of it from there? And and that happens when you're traveling. Either something that's happened in the office and you've learned a life lesson somewhere and you want to write it. So I generally write on my way to and fro from office. These days, obviously, that's not possible, but uh, yeah. So I do it generally before an office after hours, uh, and then people tell me, "How do you get that much time, etc."
Mm.
It's as simple. A lot of people spend a lot of times on Netflix and Amazon Prime, etc. They enjoy that part. It's not that I don't spend time there, but I am not. I watch a few shows. I fewer shows unless somebody comes back and recommends some show, then I go and binge watch it and finish it off. But then I don't waste a lot of that time while traveling. Traveling, I've seen a lot of people just have their headphones on and they're generally uh, watching something. And that's the time that I enjoy, and I love observing people. It's a game
Wow.
that I've played for years now. You just look at a person and try imagining what the story is behind the person, and somewhere down the line, it just flowed. Yeah.
So, what's that one story or that one life lesson that stays with you that you wrote about?
Um, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you about the story about my maximum viewed post. This maximum viewed post, and the trend say that a weekend post does not work. But this was a 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning post. Okay, it got 12 lakh views. It got
Oh,
17,500 likes. And I'll tell you the life lesson I got. Uh, there was a colleague of mine, and who I had asked him for something. I mailed him at 10 in the morning saying I need some help, and he replied back. I'd messaged him the day earlier. He replied at 10 saying that I've got your note. Give me a day's time. I will come back with the action plan on this. 12:30, I get a call that the guy's passed away. He was 32, and he had a heart attack while in office hours. He had a 2-year-old son, and that's the day I realized, and that's the biggest life lesson I got. That first, you cannot predict anything. Two, uh, your family, your passion, your life outside office is as important, because for for an organization that you're working, they will replace you in 3 days. 1 week later, everybody's forgotten you. But for that family, a part of them dies with you. And I think that's where I realized that I know it's a very, I just changed the mood into a very, very serious kind of a
That's
conversation.
okay.
But I think that's the biggest life lesson I got. I got over 500 comments on that post. And I know it's a very strong topic to write on. Uh, but again, that's the biggest life lesson I've got writing there. And because you never know what happens. It was 2.5 hours. I still have the screenshot of that email which said I will get back to you tomorrow, and it never came. And that post just took off. It just took off because, and okay, and then a lot of people connect with a lot of this as well. When you write on LinkedIn, and if you're writing from a story format, people connect with the emotions, and it just took off. So, yeah, that's the biggest life lesson. It was the biggest, I would say, I wouldn't say a shocker, but I would say a lesson that I learned that
It's definitely a shocker.
so
My God.
so yeah, that's the biggest life lesson there. Yeah.
Wow. You can't predict things. Anything can
You
happen
can't.
anytime.
Right, and that's where I realize. And again, you come from a coaching background, you realize how important family is, how important giving time to them is, because for them you are never replaceable. And
Yes.
that's where the whole thought of you need to genuinely give time. So
Yes.
my wife will not agree. Half the time she says that you're still on the phone, but yes, at times you need to make that conscious effort as well. Yeah.
So, what's the household chore that you're participating most in?
The most I would say, bartan dhona is my duty. That's
Ah,
there. But then breakfast is my duty. Uh, so again, I did a post on this yesterday as well, because a lot of guys who are doing this are also promoting that I'm doing household chores,
yeah.
which again is not said, because then you're dividing household work. That's it.
Yes.
Earlier, neither of us did it. There was a help there who used to do it. Now, since the help is not there, both of us are dividing it. So, and I don't. That's where I did a post yesterday, and again it took off, because again people are glorifying it. अरे बर्तन धो रहे हैं तो धो रहे हैं. That is a part of your job. That's your own home.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, doing a bit of both. So breakfast is
And
my duty. Breakfast is also my duty. So
yeah, in fact, I was having this discussion with Bhavna, one of the previous ones I
right.
interviewed, and we were speaking about gender equality there.
Hmm.
And you know how the colors are specified, a boy and a girl, a blue
Right.
is for a boy, a pink is for, how stereotypes are there. So
Right.
similarly, I think that's the result of that, that if the men are going into kitchen, it's being glorified so much, not realizing that it is simply equality. You're just working equally for your house at this
Mhm.
point in time,
So
right?
I'll give you an example, and I'm talking about a few years back. And I remember I was in office. There were a couple of female colleagues also there, and very very well educated kind of people. And that time also, because me and my wife both are working, and I would pack the lunch for both of us, because generally if I'm a little earlier riser there, and they were very amazed, and they said, how can you be doing this? Our husband should learn from this. And I was like, bhai, I'm just packing lunch, that is all. And she can be doing it, I can be doing it. There is no differentiation. Both of us are going to work. अब जिसके पास टाइम है वो कर दे रहा है. So, and I was shocked at their expressions, because they were amazed that how could I be doing this. I was like, again, as females also, they were okay with that fact ki it's okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
but I think times have changed. A lot of people are becoming a little more receptive. Yes, a long way to go, but yeah. Hmm.
Anything you want to say to the students who want to pursue their passion?
See, I would say passion can always be managed. So so it may become your career, it may not become your career as well. But if you're even doing it on the side, at the end of the day, if you have something that pumps you up, you should not leave it. Sometimes, and a lot of people are also come back on the front ki, अच्छा इसे पैसा तो नहीं मिल रहा, पैसा तो नहीं बन रहा. But then it can be anything. It can be as simple as, yes, the singing and the dancing are the cliche kind of things, or the sports are the kind of cliche things. But if you like anything, it can be something very small also. Do it. There is no harm in doing it. How does that become your career at a later stage? Nobody knows. I had never expected LinkedIn to come out like this. And today I am doing a lot of webinars. Just this lockdown period of the last 30 days, I would have done 11 webinars covering more than 1,000 people, just talking about LinkedIn. And a lot of feedback that I get is that people say that the passion for LinkedIn is uh, visible in your, I would say, your expressions and your voice as well. So that's there, and that's what it is. Somewhere down the line, you stick to it. If you ask me, am I a good writer? I don't consider myself a good writer, but a lot of people come back and I say, okay, maybe agar logo ko acha lagta hoga. So that's there. So if you have a passion, do it. Do it at whatever scale you feel it is right. Do it, but don't let it go. And that's what a lot of people do, because otherwise, you just go through life.
Yeah.
You don't live it. At the end of the day, you need something to feel good about yourself as well. So, and 80% of the people does not like the job. People who are studying also don't enjoy it. Okay, as students, if you're talking about, complete your studies. Very, very, very important. I think that's the only way you will succeed if you have to go anywhere, even if you're following your passion. Unless you have that education, does not matter what degree you are doing. But if
Right.
you're educated and you have, it brings that maturity, personality development, overall, all those things come in. So at a later stage, you can always move on to your passion as well. So yeah.
Wow. That's it. And yeah, I was one of the persons who attended your LinkedIn masterclass, and I did see that passion in you. And एक बात होती है ना, दिल से, I
Right.
think दिल से बोलने वाली, you speak so from the heart, and that also comes in your writing, which is really amazing, because sometimes people can speak really well, but when they come down to writing it, that emotion doesn't come across. But with you, I think that comes across, and that is what connects with the people more than probably the hashtags and everything else. But I think it's more
Right.
that emotion, that connect that you establish, and that's what I absolutely love about you. So
Right. Thank you.
that's
Thank you so
amazing.
much.
Yeah, and talking about passion, so you're very right. It's okay if you're pursuing your passion as a career, or you're doing it on the side. Because even when I'm with the children, so there is one of the teenagers, my coach, he's a teen
Okay.
entrepreneur. He was 15 when he started his venture. Now he's 17. So he had that passion when he was 9 years old, and
Okay.
he used to be constantly on the phone. So of course his parents stopped him from being on the phone. And at that time, and later the parents realized that he has a true passion for it. So they said that, okay, go and explore it further. And then he went on to start his own venture. And he's the one whose interview has just gone live just before I'm speaking to you. So I just had an interview with him. He's a student of mine, and I just interviewed him. And it's so amazing to see these out of box thinkers, and the way they think about it, and they follow their passion.
Right.
It's just really, really amazing. So great inputs from you also, Sampark. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
What's the one leadership quality in you that has got you so far? May it be LinkedIn or may it be your corporate career?
See, Rajat, I'll say that first you need, I'll mention a couple of things. I'll talk about confidence and I'll talk about positivity. Now there is a very strong overlap there as well. You need to have confidence in yourself. And if you ask me, was I so confident before? And I'll tell you, the turning point was my MBA. Somewhere in the MBA period was where I realized that I'm not so bad that I cannot do something in life. Okay, I think that confidence in you should be very, very strong. I passed out in 2010. So my placements were in 2009 at the peak of the financial issue that was there. So I seen a similar period there where I walked out of college without a placement. I'm talking.
Was this 2008, 2009?
So I passed in 10. My placements were in 2009. So in the peak of that year. So I passed out early 2010, and it was, the whole economy was still getting out. So I walked out without a placement. I went back to Delhi. I had relatives there, so I was staying there with them for a couple of months. I was looking for opportunities that are there. I remember walking into walk-in interviews with resume in hand, trying for a few months, because everywhere that I went, they had those walk-in interviews at barely a few thousands that they were paying. And then I took up a job with a friend's dad who had his own company. The first year I was working there, and it was a very small organization, not more than 25 people. They used to get the salary in check, not even a bank transfer kind of a thing. And a lot of people came back and says, "Sampark, you are pushing yourself down. This is not where you deserve to be," and stuff like that. But somewhere I knew that I will eventually make it out, and I had that confidence that, "Okay, I'm learning out of it. I will work out." And 1 year later was where I got Asian Paints, and as a lateral. So I had not got it via campus. I came to Asian Paints laterally. Uh, a lot of people came back and said, "Ki, now it got set," and that is where it took off. Because somewhere down the line, I had that confidence. I remember walking into the Asian Paints interview. My whole interview was, "What were you doing for 1 year?" And I'll tell you that company that I was working with for the first year was into astrology.
Oh.
So I was selling astrology for a year. And so my whole interview was, "How do you sell astrology?" So
Yeah.
yeah. So that was the interesting part of it. That and my clientele base was astrologers. I was selling softwares to astrologers who would use that software to make kundlis for clients. So my whole Asian Paints interview was on this thing. How do you generate leads? How do you convert leads? The whole sales funnel there. So, and I think somewhere down the line, even when I was doing that, I had a lot of confidence that what I was doing, I will do it well, and I will pull through. Even then, when I left a company like Asian Paints, moved into a startup like Ola, uh, having that confidence that irrespective of does that work, does that not work, because again, not too many people have the guts to jump from traditional organizations to startups.
Yeah.
And I've stuck with 2 startups now. I've done 5 years of startups now. So yeah, so confidence is one thing. Second, you need to be positive. You cannot be negative about everything. You cannot be skeptical about everything. And so I got this life lesson from a lot of people. What is the worst that will happen? What's the worst thing? The worst that will happen is that you will fail. But you are educated enough, you are experienced enough that you will have something to fall back on, no matter what happens. A lot of people say, "Arey, matlab, COVID aa gaya, meri naukri chali gayi. COVID aa gaya, I didn't get placements. COVID aa gaya, my internship offer got rolled back." But you need to realize that it's not you. It's happening with the world, and it will remain so. My understanding says that at least the next 6 months will be 6 months to a year will be very difficult in this scenario. So you need to be positive. You have to realize the whole world is going down. It's a course correction for everyone. But you need to have confidence. You need to be positive that eventually things will work out. So it might be a few months where you might be tough, but either once you have that positivity, once you have that confidence, then you keep working in the right direction. A lot of people then go into that mode of self-pity, victimization, saying, "Kya ho gaya mere saath? What is happening?" See, one day, absolutely okay. 2 days you feel bad, absolutely okay. The third day you feel bad, you are the only one who's losing.
Exactly. Very true.
Because the world has moved ahead. Everybody is moved ahead. You're still where you are. If you don't start running, people will run away. So I think those are the two things. Confidence and positivity is something that you will need to keep, irrespective which stage of life you are. You talk to students, so students are there. Students get very very upset. अरे marks कम आ गए, अरे placement नहीं हुआ, अरे job offer नहीं चला गया, अरे breakup हो गया.
Oh, yes.
So
Breakups are the I know.
so anything and everything, it's a part of life. Now in hindsight, 10-15 years later, you look back and say, "यार ठीक है, होता है, shit happens." So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, sometimes epic shit also happens.
Right.
Reminds me of someone.
Mm.
Oh, it's so awesome. So, who's that one person who really inspires you in your life?
See, for me, if you talk, my inspiration has always been my mom. She's a doctor. She manages everything, and for me, I've always looked up to her, and she's done a lot. Uh, and I also the kind of support that I've got from my wife as well. So for me, family becomes the most important. And so wife, while she's been wife as a girlfriend also, she's been with me during that time when I was without the placement, etc., where most people would not have this. So again, she's also stood by those tough times and those tough decisions as well. So for me, I think the ladies in the life are an inspiration. They are the people that you do everything for. So I think, yeah, for me, family is a very, very important factor.
And I completely relate to that, because for me also it's my mom. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I give her all the credit for wherever I am today. And
Right,
I think that's the most amazing thing you can
right,
have.
right.
Great, Sampark. So now we're going on to something, I didn't really come up with a name for it, but I'll call it a rapid fire for now. So they're going to be some
Mhm.
quick questions where the first thing that comes to your mind, I just want you to say it. Okay?
Done. There's,
All
there's no hamper like the Karan Johar show.
there's no hamper.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go in. Are you all ready?
All
Set?
set.
Okay, cool. The first thing you do when you wake up.
Check my phone.
Most used app on your phone.
LinkedIn.
Most used emoji.
Uh, the thumbs up.
The one hashtag that always works on LinkedIn.
For me, it is Sampark se Sampark.
Ah, nice.
Hmm.
One guilty pleasure of yours.
I love puchkas and golgappas and pani puris. But
Oh,
I am missing them big time during this
अब तो
whole
हल्दीराम के
thing.
पैकेट्स भी नहीं मिल रहे.
वही प्रॉब्लम है, बनाना आता नहीं है और पैकेट्स मिल नहीं रहे. So yeah, that's something that I love. And yes, I forgot aloo paratha. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Nice. One positive thing you keep reminding yourself of.
This too shall pass.
Amazing. First thing you will do immediately after the lockdown.
Go out and eat. Yeah. So you can talk about golgappa. You can talk about maybe something. Street food is something that, yeah.
Oh yeah, and Bombay street food is like another thing. Yeah, great.
Right.
Great, Sampark. It was awesome having you on Goal Getters with Rajat Soni, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Rajat. It's a pleasure being here. It's always good to have an opportunity to reach children, youngsters, etc. And if I'm able to even inspire one of them, I think my work is done.
You will inspire a lot of people. And I
Right.
know with you being there, it will reach a lot of people also. So the more
Chalo.
students see it, that's the purpose over there.
Chalo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe, stay awesome.
Thanks.